Some small elephant. Momento అమ్మా Good evening, Aditya. You're muted.
Got it. Okay. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hopefully. Great. Great.
Do you want
Fantastic.
to check the screen share?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. All right. Just bring it up. Just a minute. I'm just trying to get the thing up. And it's not coming up. Oh, yeah, please. I'm live. Sampada, my thing is not.
Okay.
Yeah, my for some reason
I can share.
Google Talk is not opening. I don't know why.
Is this better?
Let me see. Yeah. There we are. Okay, great.
Okay. So I'll share the screen, no problem. Anyway, in the beginning, the slides are for me to be taken care of. I'll be sharing the screen. And we have polls which have been added. Either myself or Sridhar can initiate the polls when we get to the point to start the poll.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So I think we'll just wait till it is 7, allowing
Yes.
The students to join. In the interest of any student joining after, if, God willing, if we reach the capacity of 500, which is the current Zoom capacity, in case we reach that 500, the meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube. All of you, the students who are listening here, you can let your friends know that they can join the meeting right now. And in case they join late, they have to take the YouTube link, which has already been shared on the WhatsApp. I'm assuming that this group is a good combination of first, second, third, and final year students.
Okay.
Although I definitely indicated that the final year students can skip this meeting unless they are also interested in all the interdisciplinary discovery part, as well as in trying to get a view of what IASF is all about. So if they wish to know that part, they are welcome to be in this meeting. Otherwise, final year students can join the other meetings, which are on project management skills, on success and leadership skills, and on engineering and design methodology skills. The first, second, and third year students should all try to be as attentive and receptive in this session as much as possible. This is going to become their foundation for the project work they will take up with IUC in the subsequent weeks. By the way, Aditya, I'm in your
Yeah.
time. I'm in Chandigarh.
That I know that. I can see the lawns of
No, these are Goa lawns.
whatever, but they're looking at the lawns of Mount View and so on and so forth.
I hope the 3 students from yesterday, the World Robotic Olympiad, our 3 musketeers, 3 champions, I hope they are feeling fine. I hope they are not too disappointed.
Oh, they wept.
Ouch.
They wept, which is okay. Yeah. But the thing is that, if you lose and you're not emotional about it, then something's wrong.
Right.
Not really losing, but they weren't, on the top 3. But whatever they, but by the time, we were halfway to Chandigarh, they were saying, okay, next year we'll still be 12 years old and we're going to crack it.
Very good. So it's 7. Maybe we could begin now.
Okay, sure.
We have a decent number to start.
Okay.
I'm sure other students will join as we continue. Yeah, so the screen is on. Should I begin?
Yes, I mean, we can start with the traditional IUC. Yeah, okay, fine. Introduction and then. Sure.
A very good evening, all of you, friends. It's an exciting start this year again. It's the year passed by so quickly that it's hard for me to believe that we are almost touching October of 2023. And we are already much ahead in the plans for our IASF 2024, which is scheduled on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th January at KLE Technological University campus in Hubli. This ISF has been very carefully planned and arranged to bring a lot of experiential learning advantage to all the students, irrespective of which year, which discipline they are from. The focus this year is on interdisciplinarity, your learning which centers around the interdisciplinarity or the interdisciplinary nature of the real world problems. That's what you will see and hear from us all along from now, all the way until January. We have brought you 2 boot camps, which have been, again, very carefully and strategically planned and positioned to take care of your first year, second year, and third year level of curriculum, understanding, and your academic requirements. You all have to work on various projects all along your engineering. Doing projects is something that IUC has always been promoting and advocating. Doing engineering is by doing projects. These projects should be from real world problems. We have identified 5 sectors, and we will be bringing you the tools to do those projects, giving these bootcamps to you. And just to give you a background of what IASF is, IASF stands for IUC Annual Student Forum. The whole premise of ISF is to bring your thinking minds to action, to stimulate you with the right kind of information and tools which make you dive deep into the understanding of the problem. And we assist you in giving you those tools, and we also assist you in making you think harder and deeper into the subject. Of course, this happens along with the problem, which is a shoot, which you would be working upon, because at the end of the day, this thinking has to be nicely shaped around a real world problem which can benefit somebody. So there has to be a real stakeholder, and we push to make you able to do that. These tools eventually leave you more and more powerful, and they give you the right kind of practice that you go through from first year to second year to third year. You will continue doing this so many times that you eventually become better at doing this. IASF just becomes one of the platform for us to do that at a large scale. Of course, we continue doing this along the year, but to reach a larger scale of students and to do this in a much more intense manner in a live experiential learning platform, we do ISF, which is a physically oriented camp. These 3 days at KLE on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th January will be when all of us will be together. There will be 11 mentors from IUC leadership team, and there are expected to be more than 300 of you, of the students who will be at KLE for 3 days. But for us to get the best outcome from you, we are doing these boot camps in an online preparatory fashion, so that when you come to the ISF, you have already done your homework. You have already accumulated the necessary information you need to bring with you. There is a pre-registration going on, which is how you all are here. This pre-registration has allowed you to be a part of this whole WhatsApp group, this whole community. You will get weekly Zoom links from me for different kind of sessions which have been put on a platter. These sessions are a good combination of various skill development that you will go through. Eventually, the first year students will go into a discovery mode. Aditya Bhatnagar here, a wonderful gentleman who's been working with school students, engineering students, basing his entire learning delivery on the principles of STEM. He just returned yesterday from the final round of World Robotics Olympiad. If some of you heard both of us talk about it, where he had been coaching a few students. These were 5th grade students, 5th class students who had already gone ahead and developed the autonomous cargo ship tugboat, which by itself was remarkable in the way they presented. So he's going to take care of the discovery boot camp for all the first year students. The problems will be centered around 5 sectors. You have to pick one of the 5 sectors which interests you, and you don't have to make the choice right away. We will help you make the right choice based on your interest, based on the exposure that you have. These 5 sectors are mobility, space, education, health, and climate. Do not rush into picking one of these right now. We will tell you how to make a good decision. So the first, the second, and the third year students who will go through learning and acquiring these tools will pick any one of these 5 sectors as their area of work, and we'll give them the tools and you will go about it. For final year students, we have a very special set of workshops. We know all of you are already halfway into the industry doors. You are probably getting ready to start your internships by the first week of January anyway. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th January is probably the last of the time where we can impart some additional skills and get you more ready, and more prepared to handle what comes right away after that. Those will be done through the engineering skill workshop. What you see here is what we are trying to do, the preparation. This is why we are here today. At 7 p.m., we have all assembled because we are preparing for ISF so that we do more during the cannot be started and ended in 3 days. It's not that on 2nd January at 9 a.m. suddenly all of your brains will, will turn on in a ready mode. Okay, we are learning, we are experiencing something, and then 5th January you're back into college and the learning stops. No, that's how it works. Which is why essentially we believe that the learning has to be created in a temperament where it becomes an integral habit of how you operate yourself every day, all the days. You start now, you gradually pick up momentum, you bring what you need from your end, we bring to you what you need to be assisted with, and there we go into ISF with a lot of readiness. And that maximizes your experience at ISF, which is why we insist that you all should attend all these sessions as much as possible. There's one more thing which is happening at ISF. Some of you may already be a party to that. The student chapters have been working on several projects all year long. I really am surprised and happy to know that I have been able to receive the best 5 projects of each chapter. And right now I have about 112 projects which I have received from various chapters, which they have chosen to nominate as their best. And we are going to then further review them and bring out the best of these to be displayed as an exhibition at ISF. So ISF is actually a grand festival of students coming together. We already had a grand festival at Mysore this year in the first week of January. ISF 2024 is going to be even more grand. I should probably not take more of your time on this one, but I think I'll go back to just telling you very quickly, and I'm just figuring out how to go back to this. Yeah, okay. You can see my screen, my changed screen now, I believe. Yeah, okay. So, so just to quickly tell you, out of these 4 programs which are happening for first year to final year kind of students, what is it that you do? In this experience, you will learn tools of project management. 4 of these tools will be given to you in an online format. You already have received the calendar. I will keep sharing the calendar with you. Those are dates which are fixed on Saturdays and Sundays. You will get, no, these are not 4. In fact, there are 7 such sessions, a total of 8 hours of sessions, 1 hour each on every Saturday, which are project management skills. Then another 3 sessions, which are tools for self-management. And of course, these sessions, preparatory sessions of Bootcamp. You will go through a lot of team building. You will go through a lot of social and emotional skill development, design thinking skill development. You will be experiencing how to improve your analytics, your skills, which you already have, but maybe subdued right now. You will develop a sharper problem solving skill. Of course, we will bring you the exposure to how do you perceive interdisciplinarity in those 5 sectors that we have chosen. And then there are also a few workshops, especially crafted, where we have actually brought in a clinical psychologist to help on mental health, how to deal with dejections, disappointments, failures, how to be happy, how to be with people around us, how to work in a team, how to be good with disagreements and agree to disagree. How do you actually practice that? And then the last but the most important, the financial literacy. These are all the things which are lined up over the next several weeks. It's up to you how you take advantage of all these sessions from us. The icing on the top, apart from all that you go through, apart from the habit of learning that you get for yourself, apart from transforming your personality altogether, you actually get to experience with network with a lot of other students from different chapters. And I'm telling you right now, there have been students who graduated in 2020 and 2021 who are actually now wanting to come to ISF 2024 because they want to see this as their reunion, because those were COVID years. They attended all the online sessions. They are dying to meet each other. That's the kind of strong network they have developed, because they all come from different colleges. They have never met each other, but they have the strongest bond today. And they are all scattered, some in US, one in UK, one in fact, Germany, and a few in India. They just want to come to ISF because they want to meet, see each other. This kind of networking and peer learning and relationship will stay with you throughout your life, not restricted to the 3 days at ISF. What do we expect from you? In return of everything that we are planning and setting up for you, what we expect from you is a commitment to be attentive and engage yourself fully in all the sessions that we brought. We have worked hard over the last several months in bringing you the best of the mentors from all over India. These are people you will not get to interact with just like that on, on a normal day. These people have committed their time, and you should commit your time and your engagement back to them. That's how you reciprocate and show respect to them, because these people are coming for you to make you better, to transform you to a better individual. So just be there, be engaged, respond when you are asked a question. The last, but the most important thing that you should demonstrate is everything we tell you, you should be able to criticize that as well. Do not simply assume that we have said it, so it is going to be true. Ask, question us, ask why are we saying something. Right now, if you feel that there is something I've said which you do not agree with, do not be shy, do not hesitate. I may look elder to you in age, but you have an equal ownership and commitment and stakeholding in this program to question why I'm saying something and how do I prove myself. That's the kind of engagement I expect to see from all of you. I'm going to now hand it over to Aditya Bhatnagar. As I said, he's an ex-IIT Delhi alumni. He's also my senior. He's based in Chandigarh. He's the founder of the Mindcrafters. He's been working with school children at Chandigarh in various schools. He's been disciplining, mentoring, coaching, giving them the most playful way of getting in love with science, technology, engineering, and maths as much as possible. He's a remarkable person who knows how to be with the school kids and handle their curiosity and their questions and their endless, boundless energy. He is an expert in what he's doing and delivering. He's going to be the mentor for Interdisciplinary Discovery Bootcamp with you throughout from now all the way until actually March, even in physical and non-physical, basically offline and online mode. Aditya, over to you.
Well, good evening. And as we say in IUC, Jai Ho. Right, so that's
Jai
how we
Ho.
greet each other. And Jai Ho is the way that we greet each other. And I'm sure that, you'll have a good time. First of all, let me tell you, because there's a lot of discipline out here. And I am not a disciplinarian as such. I can't even discipline my own children. So leave alone, other people whom I come across. And so this discipline has got a different meaning. It's about what we normally call, subjects, or we call ways of dealing with things. So like in your thing, computer engineering could be a discipline. Medicine is a discipline, and so on and so forth. So we're not talking about, just in case some of you think to discipline, what is going to happen? Don't worry, we're going to have lots and lots of fun. So this is the agenda today, and I'll request Sampada to, go forward. You can see the agenda. I'm not going to read it out because you can, of course, read faster than I can speak. Next slide, please. So, this is what disciplines is. We talked about disciplines, and we talked about different kinds of things which happen in the world. So whether you're an electronic engineer or a mechanical engineer or a space engineer or an AI engineer for that matter, there are certain ways of thinking which are there. A doctor would have his own way of thinking. A surgeon would have his own way of dealing with things. A psychologist, you'll be meeting her, I'm quite sure, in a few weeks' time. They have their own way of thinking and their own way of their own tools. So interdisciplinary thing is when people of different disciplines sit together and they say, okay, this is the problem that I have, or this is the challenge that people are facing. How do I do something about it? And that's what engineering is all about. It's about doing things about something that you see around you, a thing which you might have noticed, or which you might have noticed and ignored. Oh, I can't do anything about it. But perhaps if you were to team up, maybe a computer engineer, maybe a doctor or a psychologist, and others, and come out with something which is there. So the elements are kind of mentioned out here. Disciplinary grounding means that whatever you bring to the table, you have some idea of what you're talking about. Each discipline have their own research methods. So how a scientist works might be different from how maybe a mathematician works, or how a doctor works. You advance your thing through collaboration and integration. So there are two different words. Collaborating means sitting together, and integrating means that I take your thought process, somebody else takes my thought process and puts them together to bring something which is there, which works. There's a very small word out here, and it's very important, and that's called humility. So humility means that I recognize what the other person is saying. I don't cut him short. I can be critical, but without being, thinking, oh, I'm always right. It's my field. So there's no such thing as my field out here. You might be a computer engineer, but somebody comes to you and gives you an idea of writing a code in a better way. Or you might be a surgeon, and somebody comes out with a device which helps you to carry out a particular surgery in a better way. Next slide, please. So there's a bit of input here. Next slide, please. Oops. Sampada, are you able to index the slides? Yeah, okay. So, no, just before this. Slide before this. I'm sorry, I'm having to. The slide before this was about different things. We hear about disciplinary thinking, which means one discipline. I have to calculate, how much current is passing through a wire, perhaps one discipline, maybe. Right? Multidisciplinary, next slide. Multidisciplinary is when we combine thinkings from different things, but we don't sit together. So somebody is giving an input, somebody else is giving some other input, and we try to put it together, but we are not sitting together. We are using knowledge from different disciplines and putting them together. That's multidisciplinary. Interdisciplinary is what our whole theme is all about. And Sampada, can you share, or what should I do?
Yeah, looks like I got exited.
Okay. All right. So if you're having trouble, I think I've got my thing finally up. So let me see.
Yeah, maybe that would be faster, because then you can move the slide as you please.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption, please. Okay.
Yes, you can see.
Right, it's loading.
Hmm.
All right, so this is what it is. So interdisciplinary is when we are sitting together and there's an overlap. You can see that there's an overlap. It's like a Venn diagram, like you must have read about Venn diagrams, and it's an overlap between two things, leading to something which is different from discipline A and B. It's not necessarily an addition, but it's something new. We leave the last part, last one here. So here are some examples. So this was done by a group of students. I think in a university here, probably lovely professional university, not very far from Chandigarh, where I'm based. So they're trying to generate oxygen using something called phytoplankton. So phytoplankton are the most rigorous producers of oxygen, and they are what keep the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen reasonably stable all over the earth. Now, these guys are found in water, and most of them are found in seawater, and they are far more efficient than trees to produce, like we say, a rainforest. But even a rainforest pales in front of them. So here, why is it interdisciplinary? There's a lot of electronics. There are sensors. There are controllers. There is a lot of mechanical engineering about how you're going to make sure that the water pressure and everything holds up, and there's a circulation of the water which takes place at a particular rate. And also a lot of biology, because you need to understand how to grow the phytoplankton, how to culture them, make sure that they don't just die out. They have a lifetime which is pretty short, so you have to do something to increase that lifetime from a couple of weeks to maybe a few months. So there's a lot of biology and biotechnology which is there. Here's another example, and this is about, you might have heard about spiders. You might have seen them, pesky little things which keep on doing odd things in the corners of your homes. But these pesky little things, they make a thread. Now that thread has strength, tensile strength, which is much higher than that of steel also. Now, could you harvest it? So, harvesting something means that you need to have a farm. That's what we think of harvest. But now that means you have to cultivate spiders. You have to understand their behavior. You have to be able to take out their, take out the thread and encourage them to make new webs all the time. So there's a lot of, engineering, because you've got to construct things. You have to make things. You have to extract the thread. Then you have to skein the thread. If you've seen a piece of wool or whatever, there are a lot of fibers which are skeined together. That means they're twisted together. That's what gives the whole strength. So and all of this is there. And there, of course, there's a lot of chemistry here, because there's a sticky substance on these webs which has to be removed. So how do you remove that without damaging them? So here is just to give you an example. So here somebody is using robotics for autism. So autism is a mental, not really a mental, but it's a disorder which doesn't allow children particularly to be able to communicate with others, and they are kind of lost within themselves. So this is a robot which kind of communicates with the child, helps him to get out of his shell, and is of course, it's artificial intelligence based, so it's able to respond to the child's expressions, understand his emotions, and things like that. So this means psychology, it means electronics, it means mechanics, of course, and high level mechanics. It means a lot of safety engineering. You're dealing with children, so you can't have the robo punching the child in the face, and all those kind of undesirable things which might happen. Okay, so I'll not show you this video, but I'll be putting this on the canvas, and I believe we are going to be having a canvas thing happening. So this video is about, I'll just tell you what it's about. Okay, so without watching this, I'll tell you about. So you all been to school, and I'm sure in college also, what happens is that you go to school 8 o'clock in the morning, you got 40-minute or 1 hour periods, you do one thing, you move to the other, then you move to the third, fourth, and fifth, and they're totally disconnected. At one time, you're doing mathematics. At some other point you are doing maybe fluid mechanics, or something else. So it's just basic circuits. So they seem to be totally disconnected. So you're doing 5 things in a day. They are disconnected. You're expected to move from one to the other. That's how schools work. That's how colleges work. But picture this, that if you are faced with a real life problem, a problem which happens in your own family, for instance. So in this video, you'll find that there is a student, she's a high schooler, who had a problem that, her family is very much disposed to ovarian cancer. And she has a high chance of getting that ovarian cancer. So she started doing research on that, which meant finding out what, DNA is, what mRNA is. So you might have heard of these things when we were going through COVID, what mRNA kind of things and DNA and debugging the genome of the COVID virus. But this child, she went through all of this with the purpose that, can I find out if I'm if I do have a gene, or I do have an expression where I might be likely to get ovarian cancer, what can I do about it? And so there's scientific practice, biotechnology, engineering, and a host of other things which keep on happening here. And if you watch her, I'm quite sure you'll enjoy this. Can we have the poll, please?
It's a
Okay,
kind of a
so
balanced,
it's all coming out.
yeah, it's a
All right.
balanced count coming up.
Okay.
But I'm glad that the difference between disciplinary, multidisciplinary, and interdisciplinary, I hope it is standing out clearly. In case it is still not clear, because it takes a while to actually understand these things, it's very easy to read the definition, but to be able to truly understand, it takes a while. If you have questions pertaining to that, feel free to question. Remember, I told you, do not just believe something we tell you just like that. Question, ask again and again and again. Even if you are right, you still need to understand it fully well. So ask questions.
So it's all kind of mixed up, because so about 31, effectively, all of you equally think that your life as a student is disciplinary, multidisciplinary, or interdisciplinary. Okay, and maybe you might want to sit back and reflect on this. How is it disciplinary? And your life as a student, how is it multidisciplinary? And I believe, what we're talking about is your life as a student, which would mean including what you do off class hours. So and some of you, I don't know how many of you are living in a hostel. So in a hostel, you have access to each other, you're kind of talking to each other, and so on and so forth. So how much of your life is multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary is something which is really a great thing. So I'm going to close this and go ahead. Okay.
Aditya, we have a question
Okay.
to understand the difference between multi and interdisciplinary.
All right. So there's a very fine difference. Fantastic questions. A very fine difference. So multidisciplinary is, so let's take an example that you want to make a car. Let's say you want to make an autonomous car, and there is somebody who tells you, okay, the body is going to be made of carbon fiber. There's a material expert who does that. There's somebody else who says this is the motor that I want to use. Somebody else talks about the battery. Let's say 3 different things, and he is a chemist, so he modifies the battery. So there are 3 different disciplines happening, right? Mechanical or material science, electrical engineering, and chemical engineering or chemistry. But when it all comes together, when all of it comes together, you find that the weight of the battery is so much that the motor is unable to pull it, or it's unable to take as much load as you wanted to take. Let's say you wanted to carry 6 people, and it just doesn't reach the speeds that you want to. So that's what we mean by multidisciplinary things. So you have different disciplines coming in. I borrowed knowledge from electrical engineering. I've taken knowledge from this. May not be an electrical engineer, but I have taken that knowledge, or I've consulted somebody, but it's only a restricted thing. In an interdisciplinary thing, the materials science person, the electrical engineer, and the chemical engineer, they sit together and they say, okay, this will happen. Say, no. We want 6 people to sit. It's not going to happen. And so you have a better product coming out in interdisciplinary design when all of you are sitting together and coming to something which is, desirable. And so the difference is that we are sharing, things which we are doing across the table. In multidisciplinary, we are not necessarily doing that. We are borrowing from different disciplines and making something, right? So anything in life, so we'll come to this. Let's have the second poll quickly, and then we'll move ahead. Oh, okay.
Can you see the poll or?
Yeah, I can see the poll.
Okay.
There's only one person who
Yeah. I wonder why.
has answered. Are you able to see the poll? If you can raise
If
your
you're not
hand.
able to see the, yeah, because I see only one person answering.
He's saying bring the poll again.
No, okay.
Okay, so maybe we can start over again.
Okay. Yeah.
Now you can see them. Yeah, it's going all over the place. Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we reach about 250, I'm going to end the poll so that we don't. Okay, it's taking a while, so I'm going to end the poll now. In any case, so here a lot of you think that it's multidisciplinary, right? So here is myself, and of course you can look at that. There's a camera here, right? There's a camera here, which is rather intricate. There's a screen here, there's a screen guard, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of electronics inside. The case is probably solid, is aluminum, solid aluminum, anodized, and so on and so forth. And lots of other things, right? Now, when somebody is designing this, okay, when you're designing this, the optics person who's doing the cameras has to sit together with the electronics person. The software people have to sit together because they have to build in the software in that particular hardware design. That there's a restriction on the processor and so on and so forth, and therefore possibly most products like these, whether it's a car or whether it's a cell phone, utilize interdisciplinary design, and that's why we kind of put this in so that you get an idea about what you're talking about. Okay, there we are. Okay.
We close this poll.
Yeah.
Is it ended by itself or is it?
It's ended. I've ended it. Yeah. At least I have stopped. Okay. So we come here.
There are a few more questions. Like to take those in between?
Is it? No, I think no, they're going to come in
one
later.
question. Okay, okay.
Oh, there's some questions here right now
There's
from
one
the
question
students.
which says how it will be useful to our further future. I think referring to interdisciplinarity, how is it useful to the future, to their future?
So I'll answer that question once we've gone through the tracks, and you'll kind of hopefully realize it in any case. And if you don't, then I'll be happy to kind of expand on that feature.
Yeah, and I think there is more detail required to understand the interdisciplinarity. There are more questions, and which is good. It took me a while myself to understand truly what interdisciplinarity is. So if you're still struggling to understand, it's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's
Hang in
okay.
there. We will help you. We will help you at the end of the whole thing. You will understand what interdisciplinarity is. We'll keep trying with you in different forms. We'll keep trying with you.
So we have, as I mentioned, we have several tracks. And so I'm going to go through each of the tracks, give you some examples. So you have a feel about what the tracks are, because this is what you'll be working on practically. You'll be having to decide, you take a decision that, okay, this is what interests me the most. So the first track is mobility. So mobility is all about moving. It's about moving yourself, persons, goods, whatever, right? And this is a kind of a chart which tells you that what mobility could mean. It could mean encouraging public transport or green transport, so to say. It could be meaning, trying to manage climate change through low carbon mobilities. Low carbon means where you're not using fossil fuels or using them to the minimum, or you're using fossil fuels or fuels rather, maybe biofuels, for instance, which do not give you that much of warming in terms of climate change. There is also this chart here that, there's a challenge. For example, if you use public transport, then how do you do last mile connectivity? Last mile connectivity means I take a bus and it drops me somewhere, but then how do I get from there to my destination? Because I'm not being dropped there. So you could take this as trying to enhance last mile connectivity. I believe in the city of Copenhagen. I hope I announced that. I mean, I pronounced that properly. There are people who can carry their cycles onto the bus. So you load a bus, you carry your cycle on. When you get off, you have your cycle and you take your cycle and the cycle down to wherever you are. So you're using public transport, you're using something which is green, and so on and so forth. The other thing is about partnerships. So here, if you look at this is really different. You're looking at partnerships to encourage shared mobility. That means you have people sharing their typically we talk about carpooling, for instance, and everybody knows carpooling is a good thing, but very few people do it unless you're kind of forced to do it, and then you invite different companies, maybe government and other stakeholders, to try and solve these things. You could use lots of technologies like IoT, for instance, to enhance the partnership between people, between vehicles, for that matter. Then there is the whole thing about policy also. So you need a kind of a framework. So you might be thinking that, okay, how can I encourage this? How can I do this so that the mobility increases? The mobility becomes easier. One of the examples could be, and I'm sure you've seen some of these, what is called a Raptor or a electric scooter, which uses very little electricity. You can make it as efficient. You can make it really efficient, and it's a great single person way of going around. Most of the cargo which travels all over the world at present is by waterways, either inland or across the oceans. So most of the goods, millions and millions of tons of goods are transported every year right across the earth. And is there some way in which, we can enhance that mobility? Perhaps use waterways better, perhaps reduce dependence on fossil fuels, and so on and so forth. You could look at mobility from a completely different angle. For example, what does mobility mean to a person who is differently abled? And you see this person here, he's come up to here, but then you have a flight of stairs and he's stuck. He's kind of, you can see, sad, disappointed, whatever. So if you look at this, a track on mobility can mean any of these things. It could be transportation of goods, whether on road or sea or waterways, depending on what you have seen, right? So all of these tracks are something which you should choose if it comes from your heart. There's something. We are human beings who are very, we are very emotional, and once the emotion is driving you to do these things, I'm sure you'll put in all the energy and all the resources to make this happen. So it could be over land, single person, huge amounts of cargo, or it could be about somebody who is differently abled. And differently able has got, a lot of spectrum over it. So it's not only a person on a wheelchair. It could be somebody who's blind, or somebody who, for example, doesn't have hands, and so on and so forth. The next track is on health. So we are just trying to introduce these tracks and try to tell you that, what could happen. So you can look at this, that cardiovascular disease is something which kills millions of people every year. So you have to understand what the disease is. Then you have to understand what kind of electronics can really help us to monitor and predict that, okay, something is not quite right before it's too late, before, you come to a stage where, you do need a surgical intervention and so on and so forth, which is not a happy situation. And a lot of cardiovascular health happens because of the way that we live our lives. It's very much related to lifestyle. So you could study lifestyle. To order or to change lifestyle, you don't only need information, you also need psychology. You need to encourage people to do so. And in fact, to give you an example, there was a project taken up, which was to reduce obesity in young children in the United States, where there are a lot of couch potatoes, don't move much. So they gamified it. First they just gave information, nothing happened. But once they gamified it, and you had students or children, having a small device which they could, use as a game, it was wonderful. Right? So you could also look at, now this is physical health, you could look at mental health. There are many ways now of monitoring the kind of brain activity that is going on, without putting sort of heavy probes, or without doing anything, just wearing a headband kind of a thing. So that can help you to find out what is happening with you, and give feedback to you, probably connect you to an on-demand support, like an expert or therapist, and so on and so forth. So there's app development required, there's electronics, there's biology, there's the brain activity monitoring, and so on and so forth. Again, you can't just pick information and say that, okay, I'll do this. It is, if you have to do this, then some person interested in brain activity will do that research. Somebody else will do how to make an app. Somebody else will say, okay, how do I make this band? It should look nice. Somebody should be able to wear it, would love to wear it. And remember, that person is not in that state. In terms of the next track, which is on education, we have assistive technology in the classroom. So again, persons or children with disability, students with disability, there's a lot of thing on including children into this, or including them in the same classroom. It's not that they're having a separate thing where they get totally isolated, and they remain isolated throughout life. So we can build devices and other things, we can engineer them. How do you use AI in education? All of you, I'm sure, have chat GPTing a lot, but how do you use that in education? Can we help teachers to use LLMs or large language models, for that matter, or other stuff to lessen their load? Can we use AI tutors to help increase understanding and help us to become more critically aware and more creative with this? So we are turning the AI threat into something which is helping us to become more creative and staying ahead of AI. So this is on climate. Now, the next thing is about climate change is a big thing, and I'm sure all of you read about it, heard about it, but what can you do about it? Can you make some smart, can you design a smart device, maybe for your college, maybe for your home, where it monitors things? For example, if I'm sitting in an air conditioning room, do I really need it running all the time? Can I make it smart? If there is a large hall with 6 air conditioners, which one should I run? Depending on how much of where people are in that hall, can I optimize the energy consumption, and so on and so forth. So this is, again, it's not purely engineering, it's also about comfort. It's about what people perceive about what's happening. And though people talk a lot about climate change, they do not want to be uncomfortable. So can we provide them the comfort which is required, and at the same time, reduce energy? Can we change their habits by carefully doing this? You could track climate change. So this is Professor Solanki. He's an IIT Bombay professor and has done remarkable work. He's called, the Solar Man, and so on and so forth. So this is a climate clock. I don't know if some of you might have made this. There was a challenge. And in fact, in our school, we got this made, and it's all there for people to see. This tells you how many, it's a kind of an alarm clock that how many days and years and hours are left before the climate change starts becoming irreversible. So there are devices like these and others which can do, and then you can connect this through other things to change habits. And that's the most difficult thing to do, which requires both psychology and, of course, technology, and so on and so forth. We have a track called space. Now, on space, what can you do? We don't expect you, for example, to kind of make another Chandrayaan or so on and so forth. But we want you to understand or appreciate what all is required for something like this. And how can you do that? You can build a ground station. So what a ground station does is, and this is feasible, you can really do it for your college. So you can build a ground station which is able to track satellites which are going. I don't know if I can open this. If I open this, I don't know if I'll get back. So I think I'll open it in the end. There's a thing called eyes.nasa.gov where you can see, where it tracks all the present low Earth orbit satellites. And you can see those low Earth orbits, where are they going? So you want to see which is over India, this guy is over India. Now, you can, through some permissions, you can then log on to or lock into those satellites and collect data from them. So most of them are imaging satellites, or they might be climate satellites. So they're telling you what is happening, and you can try to see that, okay, from space, how can we make life on Earth more sustainable? That's what a ground station can do. And this is, again, it requires a lot of cross-disciplinary approach, because interdisciplinary approach, because we'll be depending on engineering in terms of radio signaling. You'll be depending on electronics. You'll be looking at what to do later on. You'll be looking at tracking. So how do you track the satellite? There's a lot of mathematics as well as mechanical engineering, which is involved there. You could build, like we have the Vikram lander, and then we have the small rover which is there. So can you build a lunar rover which you can 3D print, for example, a lunar surface, and can you have this guy going over the surface without tumbling, without kind of getting stuck or dropping into a crater, and so on and so forth. Now, it might look like a challenge which might be easy for some of you who might have done robotics, but it's not, because it's an unknown terrain. You don't know what it's like. You don't know how much of weight or other things you can put on that. You don't know that the kind of terrain which is there. So all of these things plus the power, because you have limited power, and so within that power background you have to work. And you might be knowing that Chandrayaan, for instance, had a lifetime of 14 days, because that's the lunar day. And once the thing is over, they're trying to contact it once again, but it was designed for a lifetime of just 14 days. Okay, so given you an idea of the tracks. Now, this is not about any kind of you're saying that, okay, this is what is a final decision or something like that. It is, as Sampada said, it takes a lot to be able to decide what you want to do. But just on top of your head, just from your heart, which track attracts you the most is the pole. So can we have the pole, please? Yeah, 4 minutes.
After
I think we'll
Chandrayaan
stop at
launch
200.
spaces, after Chandrayaan, space is picking up interest. I'm happy to see that. It's good. It's good for our country.
Okay, I'm ending the poll, so we will just share the results. We are a little short of time. Okay, so 30% of you are there on space, 25% on health, fantastic, and 20% on education, and mobility and climate. Okay, but all these things will change. You might just see that what is there, and as Sampada mentioned to you, I'm just closing this. We can close this. As Sampada mentioned to you, that please be critical of what we tell you. You can absolutely, don't go by Sampada's young looks and my, white hair. We are all here to listen. We are all here to learn, and it's a mutual learning. So we are in this journey to learn from each other. We are not here to kind of sit here and tell you, "Ye hota hai." No, this is not how it happens. So it's everything gets done by you.
Question already.
Yeah, questions, please.
So Pranav is asking, all the examples that you have given us always are integrated with technology. In interdisciplinary education, how much does technology play a role? Can we not be dependent on technology or engineering?
Okay, great. Absolutely. So I kind of gave these examples about technology because, it appeals a lot to engineering students. So I'm guilty of that. But from my heart, I believe that it's really it's a person to person learning which matters a lot. And that's the value that the teacher brings to a classroom. And so definitely you don't have to talk about technology at all. You can talk about how to improve understanding of, say, Maxwell's equations. You might be reading about Maxwell's equation now or a little later, first years, but some of you might have read. And it's a difficult concept to grasp. 4 equations, and they seem to be governing everything that we have all around us. So absolutely.
For example, E is equal to mc square can be found in pretty much anything and everything. And that's how it has integrated itself from one formula to a host of applications in real world. That's interdisciplinarity. In fact, there's been one more interesting discussion going on while you were talking, and I don't know if the students were listening to you or they were busy discussing, but it's okay. So the question was about carpooling and if it is safe, and there were suggestions like whether there should be people with like-minded interest being in the carpool, otherwise it may not be safe, it may be risky, it may be not interesting because whatever. So several ideas. And I think it's good that you're discussing this. I know, I wish you were listening to Aditya and then took this discussion separately, but since you were discussing about it, there you have already created a situation that you would probably want to solve. How do you create a system
You guys are breaking up, Sampada. Your voice. Okay, I'll just take it from so what Sampada is trying to say is that it's absolutely fine if you're discussing amongst yourselves, and because if both of us are extremely happy if you've triggered something in your mind, and it's lovely that you have a thing that, okay, I want to pool, but I don't like this guy. Why should I travel with him? And so on and so forth. So it is a great thing. But here is the thing, where you learn about how to frame questions. Once you know how to frame a question, then you'll start looking at answers and try to find solutions. Yeah, Sampada, you want to come in? Hello?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just texting in case my audio is not so good.
No, it's fine now. I think without the video, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just saying that this is a problem that they could take up, how to create a system where like-minded people can actually carpool, and this could be one thing they might launch. This could be one problem solving that they could take up as a project. It's like shadi.com, right?
Yeah.
Where people find like-minded partners. Similarly, this is a carpool with like-minded partners.
So I think somebody asked a question, is it necessary that everything should be business oriented? Not necessary at all. You could make something which is there for the good of society, whether it's good for genders, or whether it's good for differently abled people, or people stricken with poverty, and so on and so forth. Absolutely, you don't have to make it into a profitable business idea. If you're so inclined, if you're a social minded person, fantastic. Any other thing which is there?
No, I think this is a good start. We would probably let you all be with whatever you have heard today. In summary, what we have told you today is what is interdisciplinarity, how is it different from what you have been doing till now in terms of attending different classes at different hours. We have told you various case studies of 5 of the tracks which are open for you to take up. Do not rush into a decision as to which track you want to take today. You may eventually make up your mind, because we will go into more details on these tracks in the next 2 sessions that we will have. And so the next Saturday session is actually going to be about the project management, which is going to be taken by Atun Roy Chaudhary. He will be talking about project management skills, and he's going to focus on the planning, the project planning. And the week after that, Aditya and Kalyan will be back with you, where they will go into deeper details of 3 tracks: mobility, space, and climate. Now, detailed analysis of these 3 tracks and the kind of problems that exist that you might want to take up. And we already had Crystal, for instance, saying that how could we create a team of like-minded people to work on the problems. This is what we will do right here, Crystal. We would see these forums, these sessions as an opportunity to team up together students who want to take up similar kind of a problem for solving. So over the next few sessions, that's what we will do. We will be able to form the teams by the end of October, where same problem can be taken up by a group of students who may be representing different colleges. So just hang in there with us. This was an easy start. Over the next few weeks, you will go more deeper into the interdisciplinarity and the detailed case studies. And next week, we will see you again at 7 p.m. For the session on project planning skills by Atul Roy Chaudhary. Final year students, yes, the next session on project planning, I think, should be attended by everybody, because those are skills which everybody needs.
Great. So, Sapada, I just wanted to add that there are a number of questions here, and I'm sure we can capture these questions from the chat, which we don't have time right now to answer. We will put that in the canvas. If I suppose.
And yes, the event is at KLE Tech. I think one of the questions I can write to answer.
Okay. So they'll be registering on Canvas, right?
They will eventually. Once they start forming teams, they will.
Or somebody, Satvik is sharing screen or whatever.
Yeah, we probably need to stop that. And I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we are through. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience, listening to us and putting in some wonderful questions. Sampada, you're through.
Yeah, I was just trying to answer some of the questions, which are, yes, it's so overwhelming in terms of the questions which are coming up. Yes, you will get reference presentation. We will be sending you Canvas invite, or this presentation and more discussions can be done on the Canvas for all of you to continue. The formation of teams will also happen on Canvas. All right, take care. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Sridhar.
Thank you, Sridhar, and goodbye and good night.
Teams which will take up projects, friends, you will eventually form teams and work on projects. That's the intent of what we started today. Okay.